They don't respect you because they know you care. That's the problem. You show concern. You check in. You explain how much something matters to you. You think that earns loyalty, protection, maybe even love. But Machiavelli would laugh at this, because the truth is brutal. The moment they know you care, they know how to control you. They know what buttons to push, what to take from you, what to threaten. Power does not belong to the man who cares the most. It belongs to the man who hides it best. And the world, whether it admits it or not, bows to the cold. You were taught that caring makes you good, that being open earns trust, that expressing your emotions makes you strong. But Machiavelli didn't believe in fairy tales. He believed in leverage. And when someone sees you care, they don't become closer to you. They take note. They register what makes you flinch. They test how far they can push you. And eventually they learn how to bend you. Not with violence, not with threats, but with your own heart. This is the trap. Because to care is human, but to show it is dangerous. Most men don't understand this. They think emotions are meant to be shared, that honesty builds connection. But connection without caution creates vulnerability. And in the eyes of a rival, vulnerability is a tool. You love her more than she loves you? That's power, for her. You want the job more than they want to give it? That's power, for them. The one who appears colder always holds the advantage, because coldness forces people to work harder for warmth, and warmth, when rare, becomes value. Machiavelli's advantage wasn't charm or cruelty. It was concealment. He studied how rulers lost power, not through failure, but through exposure. They showed what they feared, what they needed, what they loved. And those who wanted to destroy them didn't have to guess. They just had to wait. In modern life, the same pattern plays out. Show too much interest and you look desperate. Show too much attachment and you look weak. Say too much about how much something matters to you, and suddenly it's being used against you. The cold-blooded advantage isn't about being heartless. It's about being unreadable, about keeping your emotional cards so close to your chest that no one ever knows what matters most. Because when they don't know, they can't use it. They can't threaten it. They can't control you. And that is where true power begins. Not in what you feel, but in what you withhold. So before you confess how much you care, ask yourself one thing. What are they going to do with that information? Machiavelli already knew the answer. And if you want power, so should you. There's a reason Machiavelli warned rulers to appear merciful, but to never actually rule with mercy. It wasn't because he lacked empathy. It was because he understood human nature. He understood that most people don't respond to kindness with gratitude. They respond with calculation. If they know you care, they know you're invested. And if you're invested, they know you can be pressured, guilted, or manipulated. Your kindness becomes a tool. Your concern becomes currency. And they'll spend it until there's nothing left but resentment. Yours. Think about the last time you bent over backward to help someone. Did they thank you? Or did they quietly start expecting it? Did they show you more respect? Or did they show you less? The harsh truth is this. When you show too much care, you signal availability. And availability without demand loses value. The more you give freely, the more they assume you'll always give. It stops being a favor. It becomes an obligation. Machiavelli understood that power doesn't come from what you offer. It comes from what you withhold. This is the paradox. You care because you want to strengthen the bond, build the relationship, prove you're loyal. But in doing so, you flip the power, because the moment they know how much it matters to you, they know you'll tolerate disrespect to protect it. You'll tolerate delay, betrayal, even silence, because you've emotionally committed. And once they sense that, they don't have to impress you anymore. You'll chase. You'll explain. You'll forgive. Not because they deserve it, but because you've shown that you care too much to walk away. People don't exploit what they fear. They exploit what they understand. They manipulate what they can predict. And emotion, especially visible, persistent emotion, makes you predictable. When they see how much you care, they stop asking, "How do I earn this man's respect?" and start asking, "How far can I push before he breaks?" What began as trust turns into testing. And testing, when met with forgiveness, turns into control. Machiavelli wasn't paranoid. He was prepared. He knew that a ruler must never become emotionally bound to his people, because love makes you hesitate, Love makes you explain. Love makes you vulnerable. You think they'll see your loyalty and return it, but most people don't operate that way. They see your loyalty and they test its limits. They see your concern and they wonder how to use it. This is not cynicism. This is power. And in power, you don't get points for sincerity. You get punished for it, because the one who feels more loses more. The one who cares more gives more. And the one who gives without demand is slowly emptied, not admired. So when Machiavelli spoke of cold-blooded advantage, this is what he meant. Keep your warmth private. Keep your care hidden. Project strength, calm, control. Let them guess how much you care. Never let them know. Because if they know, they will test it. And when they test it, you lose leverage. Not all at once, but piece by piece, until they no longer fear losing you. And by then, you've already lost. They'll tell you to open up, to speak your truth, to be vulnerable. They'll call it strength, maturity, emotional intelligence. But here's what they won't say, and what Machiavelli knew centuries ago. Emotional honesty is not a virtue in the game of power. It's bait. And if you're the one handing it out, you're not the hunter. You're the prey. When you speak your truth without strategy, you give others a map, a direct route to your insecurities, your motivations, your weaknesses. You think you're showing courage, but what you're really doing is handing over your pressure points. And in any power dynamic, the man who reveals his soft spots doesn't get protected. He gets played. Because as soon as they know what drives you, fear, love, guilt, validation, they stop listening. They start calculating. They don't respond to your emotions. They respond to the leverage those emotions give them. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers to mask their intentions, to speak rarely, and to reveal nothing unless it served a purpose. Because most people aren't looking for truth. They're looking for advantage. And the man who bleeds in front of them, emotionally, psychologically, is not admired. He's memorized, not comforted, cataloged. Every tear, every confession, every emotional gesture becomes a file in their mind, to be used when the balance shifts, when the relationship cracks, when the power flips. And by then, you've already armed them with everything they need to destroy your position. It's not that you shouldn't feel, it's that you shouldn't reveal without calculation. Machiavelli understood that power is not about honesty. It's about control, emotional control, disclosure control, tactical ambiguity, the ability to make others feel like they know you, while keeping your real self untouched. The powerful don't lie constantly. That would make them weak. They tell partial truths, strategic truths. They show emotion in moments that earn them sympathy, loyalty, or submission, but always with precision, always with a reason. Because in the arena of power, sincerity without purpose is a liability. You see it in relationships. The one who says I love you first loses the upper hand. The one who apologizes first after a fight is usually the one who's more afraid to lose. You see it in business. The side that reveals their needs first gets boxed in. You see it in war. The army that reveals its position is already at a disadvantage. The lesson is universal. The one who shows their heart first loses their grip fastest. So next time you feel the urge to be real, ask yourself, for whom? And for what outcome? If revealing your emotions doesn't strengthen your position, you're not being honest. You're being used. Machiavelli's rulers knew this instinctively. They cried in private, they smiled in public, they controlled the narrative, because the moment you reveal everything you feel, you give them the playbook, and the man with no secrets is the easiest man to destroy. Machiavelli never said to feel nothing. He said to reveal nothing. That's the difference between the emotional and the strategic. One reacts, the other selects, because power isn't about suppressing who you are. It's about choosing who gets to see it, and when, and how. That is the mask. And for Machiavelli, the mask wasn't deception, it was survival. He wrote that a prince must learn how not to be good, and must use that knowledge as circumstances demand. Translated, appear virtuous when it suits you, appear merciful, appear loyal, appear human, but never let the appearance reveal the truth, because the truth can be used against you. But an image is a weapon, sharpened, polished, and entirely under your control. Withholding is not about silence for its own sake. It's about creating a vacuum that others rush to fill. They fill it with speculation, with projection, with submission, because the human mind hates the unknown, and the man who reveals nothing forces others to imagine everything. That's the power of the mask. But most men don't wear one. They walk around emotionally naked, showing their motives, their fears, their needs, and calling it confidence. It's not confidence, it's exposure. And exposure is what predators wait for. If people know what makes you tick, they can make you tremble. If they know what makes you feel safe, they can make you chase it. Machiavelli knew that when your emotions are visible, your power is vulnerable. But when your emotions are private, your power becomes untouchable. Look at how power operates in real life. The manager who overshares loses authority. The boyfriend who constantly expresses neediness loses respect. The politician who wears his heart on his sleeve loses control of the narrative. But the one who withholds, who reveals only what is useful, holds the room, the moment, and the people in it, because we crave what is scarce. And emotional restraint is the rarest currency in a world addicted to emotional display. The mask isn't about lying, it's about leading, because people don't follow what they fully understand. They follow what they feel to understand. Mystery is magnetic, and a man who speaks less, reacts less, exposes less, becomes more feared, more respected, more powerful. That's the Machiavellian mask. Not a smile to hide pain, but a calm that hides calculation, a silence that hides strategy, a presence that reveals nothing, and therefore threatens everything. So next time you feel the urge to be understood, resist it. Don't give them the map to your mind. Don't give them the key to your mood. Appear calm, appear composed, appear interested, but never let the appearance become access. Because the moment they know how to reach you emotionally, they'll never stop pulling. And by the time you realize it, they'll already be inside. Most people think emotional distance is a flaw, that if you're too cold, too detached, too unaffected, you'll lose people. And they're right, you will, but you'll lose the wrong people. The ones who only stay because they know how to control you. The ones who feed on your reactions, your approval, your desperation to keep the connection alive. And once you remove that emotional oxygen, they vanish. That's not a loss. That's exposure. Strategic coldness isn't cruelty. It's filtration. It's how you separate the people who respect you from the ones who only tolerated you because they could exploit you. Machiavelli understood that relationships, whether political alliances or romantic ones, are governed by leverage. And leverage does not belong to the most expressive. It belongs to the most emotionally disciplined, the one who needs less, the one who waits longer, the one who can sit in silence while the other person scrambles to restore the connection. That's not detachment, that's control. In conflict, this coldness becomes a weapon. The person who reacts emotionally first loses. They over-explain, they justify, they beg, they raise their voice or write long, emotional messages hoping to be understood. But Machiavelli would remind you, the one who speaks first in anger often regrets it, not because they're wrong, but because they're exposed. Their emotions become ammunition, their words become evidence, and the cold, quiet observer absorbs it all, learns, waits, then strikes when the time is right. In relationships, coldness is often misread. People will say you're distant, detached, unavailable, but that's the language of those who want your compliance, not your strength. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to be rude, but you must be hard to move. Because the more someone can shake you, the less they respect you. Emotional restraint builds tension, and tension creates value. You become someone they work to impress, someone they fear losing, not because you're playing games, but because you're not playing theirs. Even in apologies and reconciliations, coldness can preserve your power. The one who rushes to repair the relationship, to fix the discomfort, to prove their sincerity, they hand over control. But the one who stays silent, who watches, who waits, makes the other person do the work. They create pressure, and pressure exposes the truth, who actually values the connection, and who just enjoyed the upper hand. Machiavelli's cold-blooded advantage wasn't about punishing others. It was about not punishing yourself by revealing too much, too soon, to the wrong people. Strategic coldness creates space, and space reveals loyalty. It shows who reaches for you when you stop reaching for them. It shows who respects you when you stop trying to be understood. Because the man who remains calm while others lose composure is not cold. He's in control. One of Machiavelli's most misunderstood teachings is this: never be cruel when you can appear kind, and never be kind unless it serves you. He didn't say to be heartless. He said to be strategic, appear compassionate, appear fair, smile, listen, nod. Let them believe you're generous, even noble, but never confuse the performance with the purpose, because kindness, when it isn't calculated, becomes currency for other people, and they will spend it on your time, your energy, your loyalty, until you have nothing left but regret. People trust what they feel, and kindness feels good. It lowers defenses. It disarms suspicion. It opens doors that force never could. Machiavelli understood this and urged his rulers to cultivate the image of mercy, not to live by it, because appearing kind makes people drop their guard. It makes them offer information, concessions, even allegiance. But if they sense you actually care, if they see that your kindness is rooted in emotional need, not strategy, they will use it to manipulate you, to control you, to reverse the power. This is why strategic kindness is a weapon, not in its presence, but in its contrast. When they expect warmth and receive silence, it creates dissonance. When they think you'll forgive and you don't respond, it creates fear, because people expect kindness to be consistent, predictable, emotionally driven. But when kindness is given sparingly, with precise timing, its impact multiplies. They'll remember it longer, respect it more, work harder for it next time. And that's the difference. Machiavellian kindness is not emotional. It's economic. It's given when it earns something back. And here's where most men fail. They're too afraid to withhold. They worry people will leave, that they'll be misunderstood, that they'll be seen as cold. But Machiavelli didn't seek to be understood. He sought to remain in control, and that meant controlling how others saw him, without giving them access to the man beneath the surface. He wore the mask of kindness, but behind it was calculation. And that's why he survived when others were destroyed, because those who live by emotional honesty die by emotional betrayal. So learn to use kindness like a currency. Offer it when the return is clear. Withhold it when the moment calls for strength. Don't perform warmth out of guilt, fear, or habit. Perform it when it earns you influence. Because the man who appears kind is liked, but the man who can be kind and chooses when is respected. And in Machiavelli's world, and in yours, respect is what power feeds on. Closure is a myth. It's a story people tell themselves to feel in control after they've lost it. But the Machiavellian man doesn't give closure. He withholds it, deliberately, strategically, and without apology. Because closure is not kindness, it's surrender. It's giving someone the emotional resolution they need to stop thinking about you, to stop wondering, to stop obsessing. And once they stop, your leverage ends. This is why Machiavelli would never recommend finishing a conflict with clarity. He would advise ending it with silence, with absence, with ambiguity, because ambiguity breeds obsession, and obsession breeds power. People can handle anger. They can handle rejection. What they cannot handle is confusion, the open loop, the unspoken ending, the sudden absence that offers no answers, no comfort, no explanation. That is what lingers. That is what haunts. When you deny someone closure, they keep chasing it. They write longer messages. They ask more questions. They dig through past conversations, trying to decode what you meant. All of this puts you in control, even in absence. Because while they're reacting to what you didn't say, what you didn't do, you've already moved on. You're no longer negotiating. You're observing, and they're still trapped in the story you left incomplete. This is not about cruelty. It's about preserving your position, because the person who gives closure gives certainty, and certainty kills emotional tension. It lets the other person decide how to move forward, how to think about you, how to package the entire interaction. But when you leave things unsaid, they don't get that luxury. They project, they assume, they hope, and in doing so, they reveal far more about themselves than they ever did when things were clear. Machiavelli understood that control isn't about always having the upper hand in the moment. It's about creating conditions that keep others emotionally off balance. And nothing does this more reliably than unfinished emotional business. When you end something with distance instead of discussion, when you let them feel the silence instead of soothing it, you shift the power dynamic permanently. They're waiting. You're not. They're wondering. You're watching. The average man wants to be liked. The Machiavellian man wants to be remembered. Not as a villain, not even as a hero, but as a question mark. A presence that left before it was fully explained. Because that's what keeps power alive long after the interaction ends. So when you walk away, don't explain. Don't justify. Don't resolve. Let them sit in the fog. Let them guess what you meant. Let them imagine why you went silent. Because the man who gives nothing leaves others with everything to think about. In every negotiation, every argument, every relationship, there's a silent contest happening beneath the surface. It's not about who speaks better, or who loves more, or who has the stronger logic. It's about who cares less. And Machiavelli understood this with brutal clarity. He knew that the one who feels less always holds more power. Not because he's heartless, but because he's disciplined. Because when two people collide, the one who flinches first, the one who needs more, the one who can't walk away, is always the one who loses. This is the final truth that most refuse to accept. The less emotionally dependent you are, the more dominant you become. The less you chase, the more you're chased. The less you react, the more others react to you. And the moment they realize you're not emotionally invested in the outcome, they lose their grip. Their power collapses. Because their entire strategy was built on the assumption that you needed something from them. Validation, approval, acceptance. But when they see that you can detach at any moment, they panic. And in that panic, they reveal themselves. Power belongs to the man who can walk away and mean it. The man who can wait without anxiety. The man who doesn't explain himself when misunderstood. Because he knows that control is never earned by proving you care. It's earned by proving you don't need to. That doesn't mean you never feel. It means your feelings are never the driver. They don't leak. They don't dictate your moves. They remain inside, locked behind intention, purpose, and strategy. That's what Machiavelli meant when he warned rulers not to become loved at the cost of being feared. Because love without boundaries breeds contempt. But fear, when cultivated through mystery and restraint, keeps people loyal. You'll be told this is heartless. You'll be told it's cold, manipulative, inhuman. And maybe it is, if you use it to destroy. But if you use it to protect your purpose, your peace, your trajectory, then it's not cruelty. It's clarity. Because the world does not reward the emotionally impulsive. It rewards the emotionally disciplined. The ones who don't over-explain. The ones who don't chase closure. The ones who remain calm while others unravel. That is not indifference. That is control. And in a world that wants you reactive, soft, exposed, control is the rarest form of strength. So remember this, never let them know you care. Care if you must, in private, in silence, in thought, but in public, in conflict, in moments where power is shifting, you offer calm, you offer stillness, you offer nothing they can use. Because the moment they believe your emotions govern you, they will govern your emotions. But the moment they believe you're untouchable, they'll treat you like you are. And in that silence, you win without having to fight.